नाम यूज कर All right, we are back. Sorry for the disruption on my end because of some internet issue, some technical problems. Let us wait for people to join. And today's topic is about geology of salt range. Hi Umar, I hope you can see me, and because we have some problem with the camera, I guess. Kasim, can you see me? Umar, can you inform me that you guys can see me clearly? I will try to start by now. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, good. Then I think we can do it like this. If it's not working on like this, but we can start. I think you guys can hear me properly. My name is Haroon. Hi Akshay. Hi Umar. Hi Noman. How are you? How's things? Good. Let's wait. We are climbing up the ladder of number of viewers, and let's see. Okay, good. Thanks, Umar. Thank you, Qasim. And let's see who else is joining in. Please, when you join, please comment and mention your country from where you are, so that we know where you are listening our stream, live stream. And let's hope we have more viewers. We made another minute before we start. All right, we are doing it for the salt range, and the topic is geology of the salt range, and we will be starting very soon. Please be patient. Please comment. Hello Talha from Institute of Geology PU. Thank you. Hi Naveed, Jamshed. Thank you for coming in and joining the session. All right, I think now we can start the presentation. My name is Dr. Haroon, and I'm a geologist from Salt Range, the place where every geologist from Pakistan go and explore for their first field work. It is just like a mandatory requirement, and I'm also author of few papers about Salt Range. I can send you if you want any of them. Few of them are still under review. Few of them are published, so you can also have a look if you are interested more on geology of salt range. Hi Abdul, how are you? Hello Danish from Qaid-e-Azam University, nice to see you. Hello Shoaib, good to be here. I want to thank hi Ghasia, hi Mudassir, hello Zair, how are you from China? How are things? I hope you guys and your families are safe, and you guys are safe in this critical situation around the world. We started doing live sessions, and it goes back like 5 months when I started discussion with our friend from Learning Geology, and we started we just started that we should do a session on local geology to promote local geology, because there haven't been any sessions. Hi Ariel, how are you? Hello Imran. So we wanted to do a session on the geology. I also run a channel named Geology Insight. If you are interested to learn more stuff, we will be doing more sessions very soon. And please, if you have any questions, mention hello Akshay from India, how are you? Or if you have any questions, just put your questions in the comments box, and later on we will be doing a question answer session. But when you are doing a question, just mention your question very briefly, and also try to make it very short and mention the place of your origin, so that we know where you are listening. Shortly we are going to be in the let's go to the presentation. All right, so we have people joining in around the world, and geology of Salt Range is very interesting. It is known as the Field Museum of Geology. Salt Range is located, hello Sahi, Salt Range is located about 70 kilometers south of the main Himalayan range, and it has a very long history. If you see the historical background of Salt Range, it is actually about 180 kilometers in length, and about 30 kilometers, 6 to 30 kilometers in its width, and it has a lot of see the maps. If you see the location of Salt Range, I hope you guys can see this map, and the location, if you see the country, it is located in Pakistan. This is the map of Pakistan, and you can see the map. Just let me know if you have a problem. Okay, so this is the country Pakistan, where I belong, and spent many years of my career doing field works around Salt Range. And this is the Punjab province, the Punjab area, and in this Punjab area, if you see the physiographic map of the Punjab province, the Salt Range is slightly located in the northern part, and you can see the brown area, slightly yellowish brown area that rises. And by the way, Punjab is because of the 5 rivers that pass through this province. And this is the main area where our most of the talk. This is the physiography of the area, and the range is about 2200 feet in its height above sea level, and have beautiful exposures. It is no doubt the best place to do any type of geology, whether you are a paleontologist, carbonate sedimentologist, you are a structure geologist. It is heaven for you. It's just like have the best exposures, the best sequences preserved, ranging from Paleozoic to Mesozoic to Cenozoic, and it's just like a book of geology for anyone who is a geologist. Okay, let's have a look on one of the maps of the regional maps. Let's see where we are in the Himalayas. I guess you guys can see clearly this image, and if you see, this is the Eurasian plate, and then we have the Kohistan island arc, and then we have the salt range here that is pink in color, and this is you can see that this salt range is bounded by two faults that are on the two sides of the salt range. These two are the strike slip faults and actually help in the creation of this marvelous nature and piece of nature, and it's the best you can see anywhere around the world. So Genzer helped us to have the division of Himalayas, starting from the higher Himalayas up in the north. Then we have the lesser Himalayas across MBT. Our friends from India, the main boundary thrust because it goes from Pakistan to India to around the Himalayas. And then we have this feature bounded in here, and this is the salt range what we are talking about. So it is located in sub-Himalayas, and it is located in the Punjab province of Pakistan. So we will talk about it a little bit, about its structure, its tectonics, its geology. Let's see a little bit more detail in the map of salt range. Here we have the map of salt range where we have different colors, and you can see that this is the thrust. This is the line of the thrust. That is the what we call the salt range. And we have two rivers. One is the Indus River, the mighty Indus River, that is famous around the world because of the Indus civilization. And then we have the Jhelum River that is cutting the eastern edge of it and separating it from the Punjab plains. Now you can see that the green color and the blue color, these two colors are very significant. The green color is actually the salt range, and then the blue color is the Paleozoic sequence. Whereas the orange color is Paleogene sequence. And then we have the younger Sivalics that are the detritus after the erosion of the Himalayas. Alright, so these are some of the features, and then we can see that there are some beautiful gorges that are present across the salt range, very famous around the world because of their significant exposures. If you want to see Cambrian, if you want to see Permian, then this is the place. This is the Kyoda Gorge. Then we have the Varcha, and then we have the Namal. So these are the three main gorges of salt range that cut across the strike and have the excellent exposures ranging in age from infra-Cambrian to Eocene to Miocene to Pliocene. So these are some of the features. And then another part is the lower part of this map. You can see mainly we have the older rocks, and in the north we have younger rocks. So it is actually transition from salt range to the Potawar Plateau, that is a petroliferous basin located in the north. And the benefit of salt range is not only its exposures. If you are a petroleum geologist, if you are a mineralogist, if you are a geologist from anywhere in the world, if you want to see the reservoir, if you want to study the source rock, if you want to see the structural features, you are structure geologist, structure traps, then this is a feature that is of your interest. This is called salt range. Okay. Another important thing is that is also a main highlight of salt range, that is basically the salt. This salt is important because it provided the décollement, and it provided the level where the basement, the deformation that is present at the surface actually doesn't extend to the subsurface. So it is just restricted to the stratigraphic package, and the metamorphic basement doesn't get affected from the surface exposure, surface structure geology and surface tectonics. So it is example of thin skin fold and thrust belt. If you are a structural geologist, you might know that there are two types of fold and thrust belts. There is one that is thick skin tectonics, and the other one is thin skin tectonics. Then we need to see some of the features. So I just try to use different colors in this map, and you can see that there are three subdivisions of salt range. Here we have the eastern, then we have the central, and then we have the western. And there is difference of structure, there is a difference of structure geology, there is difference in the thickness of the salt, there is difference in the basement faulting. So if you see the eastern end, this area where we have the eastern part of salt range, here the thickness of the salt becomes less, and as a result of that we have more role of basement faulting in these areas, and the folding direction in this is northeast southwest. Now we go to the central part. The central is the most widest part of salt range, and this is the area where the salt thickness is more, and because of that the salt controls all the tectonics in this area. After the Himalayan orogeny, we call it as salt tectonics. And then we go to the western part of the salt range. Here the strike of the formation changes significantly, and as a result of the change in the strike of the formations in this area, we also have the lineaments that are northwest southeast. So you can see a total change and shift in structural fabric from east to west. So this is how we divide the eastern, central and western salt range. All right. So as I said, in the central part of the salt range, we have more like salt diaparism structures, and also we have mainly salt tectonics. That also gives rise to normal faulting in the area, also like step faulting, especially that is a significant feature of salt range. Another thing that I want to mention about this map is the from Jogitilla. Those guys who are from local geology, they know Jogitilla to Kyoda we have the eastern salt range, and then from Kyoda to Varcha we have the central salt range, and from Varcha to the Kalabagh we have the western salt range. So these are the areas based on which we divide the salt range. Okay, and now comes the interesting part, the history, the historical background. We all know the history of any range, and any feature, any part of it that we see. You will be surprised to know that this range was not discovered, or this formation or this area was not discovered by a human being. It was actually discovered by a horse. Yes, you listen it right. There was a horse that came to this area in 326 BC. This horse was from Alexander, who came all the way from Europe to Central Asia and then to this area, and he saw his horse licking to one of the stones, and then one of his army officers also tried to lick the stone, and then he said it is something like salt. So this is the historical background. It's about 2300 years ago. Then there comes a person, a very big scientist in the region. We call it Al-Biruni, from Uzbekistan. He came all the way here to measure the radius and the circumference of Earth. So he used an old fort that was present in this area. We call it as Nandana Fort. And this fort, he was there for he stayed there a long period of time, and then based on his research he used different methods, and he calculated the circumference of Earth. The salt mining history of the area dates back to about 1200 AD, when Janjua Rajas of this area, they were using these mines for the extraction of salt. And you can imagine that the salt was going from this area to Central Asia. So Himalayan salt that all over in the world is famous is actually from this range. We call it as salt range. Salt mines were owned by Mughals, by Sikhs, and then by British, who also revolutionized the salt mining in this area. And then came the guy who was a British envoy to the House of Kabul. His name was Elphinstone. He was the first person. He came in this area 1815, and then he named this area as Salt Range. This is a little bit about the historical background of the salt range, and it is called salt range because of the gigantic amount of billion tons of salt that is present in this area. The significant features, as I told you, of the salt range are the roadside geology. You drive around the road, you see the best exposures in the world, and it has the best gorges, that is, as I already told you, Kyoda Gorge, Namal Gorge, you go to Vatsha, you go to Neelavan. And another thing, if you are a fossil hunter, you should visit it, because the reason why fossils are important, as they can tell you the history of this planet Earth. And if you want to see the history, you want to see the brachiopod rich horizons, you have brachiopods that are present in this area from Permian. We call it as Productus limestone. And then we have conodonts. Conodonts are also found in this area in lower Triassic rocks. Then we have fusilids that were reported by Dr. Sarfaraz from University of the Punjab. And then we have world famous Permo-Triassic boundaries. And here we have Tim from a Canadian professor in 1987, standing along one of the Permo-Triassic boundaries in the western salt range. And this is the place where we mark the Permo-Triassic boundary. Here you can see an illustration from a legend, another legend who worked in this area. His name was Wagon, and you can see the sutures in the ceratite. And here is a specimen of Productus. So this is from the Permian, and this is these two fossils, Productus and the ceratite. They help you to mark the boundary of Permo-Triassic, that we call the PT boundary. We have a lot of contributions of different scientists that came here in this area from around the world. We have Fleming, who came in this area 1848, and this all started with his small diary. His diary was named after a visit to a salt range and pinned Dadar Khan. So it all started in 1848 in terms of geology. And then we have Wagon coming in around 1850s to 1880s. And then salt range were very famous. Like 100 years ago, there was a big controversy about the age of the salt range. There were two persons from the Geological Survey of India. There was one from Birbal Sani, Professor Birbal Sani from the Lucknow Paleobotany Institute, who inferred the age based on the microfossils, and he said that these deposits are, the salt deposits are mostly Eocene in age or Tertiary in age. Then came another guy whose name was Mr. G, or he spent like 7 years mapping all the salt range, and he produced 6 maps at a scale of 1,000, 1 into 50,000, and based on these maps he clearly explained that these salt deposits are older, and his idea was actually helped by two German professor and a student who visited this area in 1950s, Schindlerwolf, and the other one was Xilaker. So these two gentlemen, they visited this area and they actually found trilobites in the Cambrian sequence, that what we call as Jutana formation. Then apart from trilobites, apart from trace fossils, these two gentlemen later on wrote the foundations of ichnology, or what we know now today as the science of ichnofacies. Then there was a lot of contribution in terms of larger foraminifera, smaller foraminifera, belemnites. Yes, belemnites. And then we have youngest trilobite reported from this area. Yes, this youngest trilobite is reported from Permian. And then we have a lot of contributions and from local scientists as well, with Fatmi reporting ceratites and also describing the suture evolution of the ceratite in the western part of the salt range where these deposits are more. Then we have work on nanofossils, and we have also work from Professor Samini and Professor Aftab Bhatt, who were also my professors and my mentors, and also they worked with Professor Hottinger, and they actually discovered new species for Albalina, and they helped in the it's about 2000, and we can see the stratigraphic column of the area. So this stratigraphic column is quite interesting, and it looks very similar to geological time scale. Yes, because it shows you most of the geological subdivisions, the periods and epochs that we have in the time scale, and it represents about 36 stratigraphic units, and these 36 stratigraphic units are marked by three main or major, you can say that, unconformities. And you can see that it all started with the evaporite. There was evaporite deposition in the area, but we call it as salt range, so it's about 2000 meter thick. And then we have the Cambrian sequence, a shallow clastic sequences, and then we have some unconformity. There's a break from Cambrian to Permian, and then we have the clastics of lower Permian, and then we have the carbonates of upper Permian. Especially these deposits are more significant in the western part of the salt range. And here is the Permo-Triassic boundary, the boundary between the upper Permian and then Triassic. And in Triassic we mostly have clastic sedimentation, and then we have the carbonate sedimentation as we move at the end of the Triassic. Then in Jurassic we have deltaic to shallow marine conditions, and then we have the oolitic limestone of Samanasuk formation, that is equivalent to Smackover limestone in United States. And then we have in the end reducing conditions, and then we have the shallow marine sandstones of Lamshiwal formation, and then there was a break, and this is the second break in the stratigraphic record, the second significant break that also confirms the collusion, the first collusion of the Indian plate with the Eurasian plate. And the most of the strata was uplifted and was subjected to weathering, and after that we have the limestones of Paleocene, and then we have the coal deposition, that is also a very significant coal deposit in this area. Then we have mainly Eocene carbonates of Namalskesar Chorgali, and then there is another break, and this break marks the end of the deposition in this area. And now the depositional style changed, and the sediments were coming now from north of as a result of erosion of Himalayas, and especially the upper part we have the erosion of Himalayan thrust sheets that were present, in the north of this area. This is how the whole stratigraphy of this area has evolved, and this is the highlight of the stratigraphy in the area. Okay, let me show you a few of the photographs of these areas. Unfortunately, I don't have my samples now because of the university is closing in due to the COVID-19. And we have this is the entrance of one of the gorge. We call it as the Kyoda Gorge. You can see the malls here that are of the infracambrian age, what we call the salt range. And then we have the Cambrian sequence, the Jhelum group that we call it here. And as you go in, you can see very beautiful trace fossils, beautiful sedimentary structure. And if you are a sedimentary geologist, that's the very best place for you. And here we have one of the unconformities, the contact between the Cambrian, the Bagamala formation, and it is capped with the tillites, glacial deposits. There was an ice sheet in this area at that time, and it is from the Permian. You can see how beautiful, well exposed, lack of vegetation geology. This is actually from one of the road section. We call it as the Kyoda Chua Sadenshaw road section in the area. Then we have some of the photographs from the western part of the salt range. Here we have the Permian limestone, the Productus limestone in the western part of the salt range. And then we have this is actually from the western part, and then this is the Namal Gorge, and you can see the beautiful walls, and it can resemble the Grand Canyon. And you can see the type of sedimentary structures, and it's just like a marvelous place to have a visit. So it is for the Mesozoic section, and then you go in, you will find younger sections as well. Okay. All right. So we have now we talk about the mineral potential of the area. And mineral potential, salt range is rich in minerals. The first thing that is easy to remember is the salt itself, that has more than 6 billion tons of reserves, and it is famous worldwide as Himalayan salt. Then we have the coal. The coal is about subbituminous in grade. It's because of the burial, it didn't, and it's about more than 200 million tons reserves of coal that are present in the eastern and western salt range as well. Then we have other minerals. We have bauxite, we have bentonite, we have fire clay, we have china clay, we have silica sand, we have gypsum, we have the presence of different clays, especially in the Sivalics. Sivalics are the product after the erosion of the Himalayas. We have the presence of these type of minerals, and don't forget that we have yes, I just wanted to show you the Potawar basin that is located just north of the salt range, and this basin is very famous worldwide for its petroleum potential. It has proven hydrocarbon deposits, especially the reservoirs are of Cambrian, the reservoirs are of Permian, and also of Eocene in age. Well, that's the wraps up our discussion. If you guys have any questions, we can see them, and let's see if we have all right, we see if we have any questions. You guys can put your questions. and meanwhile I will try to see if okay, we have Abdullah. Hi Abdullah, how are you? Nice to see you here. Abdullah, the age of main reservoirs is, let me show you the map. We have range of age in reservoirs. We also have reservoirs from the Cambrian. We have reservoirs in Cambrian. We also have reservoirs in Permian, Upper Permian, and then we have reservoirs in Tertiary, especially the Paleocene-Eocene successions. So these are the main reservoirs that we have in this area. I hope I answers the question. Okay. You can put your questions, and you can just let us know from hi sir, Azam Malik sir, how are you? Okay. Hi Mustafa, and if there is any questions, we will be happy for taking international questions, and if you guys want to okay, let's see, we have okay, I think Faizan, yes, Rana Faizan, we have the change in strike. There are many reasons behind it. Can be as the trend of the salt range keeps on changing as we move from east to west. So in my opinion, the thickness of the salt under the subsurface and also the basement tectonics is very important, and we cannot undermine the importance of the faults, the strike slip faults that are located in the that are present around the, let me show you this one where we have the two strike slip faults. I will share all the photographs later after I finish in the comment section, so you guys can also download it. It is also from one of my paper. You can see that there is one strike slip fault present here and one strike slip fault present here. So this can be the reason, one of the reason of structural variation along the trend in the salt range. I hope Faizan, I answered your question. Okay, we have Zishan. Okay, Zishan Haider, thank you for your question. Yes, we have an igneous activity that is overlying the salt range formation, and I had a photograph of that, but I don't know if you can see the crystals in this. This is called curite, named after the locality, and it is an ultra potassic rock that can be related to a volcanic it can be related to some of the volcanism that happened in this area. Yes, salt range formation of Precambrian age has petroleum potential. Yes, equivalent units on the other part, on the other side of Punjab platform in the Indian side, they have few hydrocarbon shows in Bilara dolomite and other formations that are slightly equivalent to the salt range formation. Yes, Haris, it is difficult to place the boundary. It is normally placed where we have the white sandstone that is considered as the top of white sandstone in formation is considered as the main can be considered as the main place where we can place the boundary roughly, but you need to be careful about that. Okay, let's see. Okay, thank you, Monique, for your suggestion. Okay, Sir Nusrat, he mentioned about the, yes sir, actually we just call it productors based on the international audience. Yes, we should call it worker limestone. Thank you. Yes, actually, Samiullah Khan, thank you for your question. It is because of the basinal configuration, maybe where we have more thickness in the center and we have less thickness on the sides. Like the maybe this is the area where the salt range formation could have been pinched out, or maybe the thickness become less, so it could be enclosed basin, and maybe the central part is where we have more thickness. Yes, Faizan, we need to work on it. Thank you for your question. We need to see whether the Kyoda Gorge area it has the igneous activity, and we need to see, because it can be correlated with the Hormuz salt series from Middle East and Oman, and we need to see if they have these type of igneous activity as well, so we can relate it to the region, and we can make a paleogeographic map of the region in Cambrian time. And okay. Okay. Yes, Shahrukh Mughal asked about the gap between the Cambrian to Permian. This is the reason, I think, because we have maybe is my assumption, that area remained uplifted, or that area didn't have more sedimentation in that at that time, and could be a structural block faulting in that time. But it need to be answered. I think it's a good research question, and it's a good research gap. I think one of you guys, Haris, is asking that how many gorges. There are many gorges, but the famous one with the best exposures are Kyoda Gorge. We have Varcha. We have the Namal Gorge. These are the most famous gorges that can give you insight from Paleozoic. It depends on which type of sequence you want to work on. If you are interested in the Paleozoic evolution, you need to go to the eastern part. If you want to see the Mesozoic or Cenozoic, so you need to go in the center and then in the western part. So it depends on your ambition, and it also depends on your. Let's see if we have questions. Thank you, Suhail, and okay. Faizan is asking, is there any role in the formation of Hazara Kashmir syntaxis? That is a very difficult question to answer, but it depends. It depends. Like if you have the involvement of the Jhelum fault, and if you can extend the Jhelum fault in the north, and then if you can relate that to the syntaxis. It is very interesting question, but it needs. I haven't been any work that highlights its. It could be some people from PPL. I think they worked in some some of the, you can see on the Kashmir Basin, I think you can see some papers on from PAPG. Thank you, Haris. Qasim, thank you so much. So I guess we can wrap up the session, and we see. Thank you, Amar, for your comment. So thank you, Sadia, for your comments, and Haris, and all the audience. And I hope I try to provide some of the, yes, salt range is very big. We cannot just limit it. Yes, Fahim, sir, you are right. We need sessions because salt range is like a very big topic. It's very difficult. I spent days and nights to gather the data and to just limit it with the limited time. However, we can talk about it for days and days, and salt range is like very, there are many mysteries that need to be answered. There are many local geologists who work in this area, and they did a very good job, and I hope in future we have more of you guys coming in. And I also want to say to welcome to our international audience if you want to visit salt range. And I want to thank the learning geology community, and also Qasim for asking me to deliver. I think this is the first talk on this page with reference to Pakistan, and I am honored that you guys invited me. And let's see, we will come up with improvements and stuff like that in future. And thank you very much. Please, you can also ask questions on my email, that is geologyuos@gmail. You can just send an email if you need any paper, if you need any help in that. I can always be available for you. And if you want to know about local geology, you guys are welcome. I can also send you my paper if you need that. And I hope for the best, and I hope you guys stay at home and with your families, with your loved ones. If there are any unanswered questions, I will try to look at them after we finish the session. And I hope all the best for you, all of you. And let's see when we hit the ground in the field after the COVID-19. Until then, take care, and also Allah Hafiz. Thank you very much.